Rahul back, Rahul back. All right, we about to get into some noon science, get into some more detail with the brother Khemsu, Amon Ra. So, brother, you can share what you need to share, introduce yourself. Let's get it going.
Rahubat, may I be heard?
Yep, saw you.
Rahubat. My name is Khemsu or Khemsu or Kanasu Amon Reye, student teacher, the master teacher, Dr. Malachi York, for over 16 years now. Currently in Oklahoma City, myself and Pa Kamemtat Zamaltat, the elder sister, uh, um, Ateb Ba Atum Ray, or Net Hetep Hasert, Net Hetep Ta Nasert, excuse me. We are currently the only two Nuwapians here in Oklahoma City, and we holding it down to the best of our ability. We do hold classes at the new Black Wall Street Marketplace in Oklahoma City, on the east side of Oklahoma City. We do have a small book vending table where we distribute scrolls written and authored by our master teacher, known by many names over many years through many different schools that he taught and mastered, but familiar to most as Dr. Malachi York. And just basically, want to set the record straight on a lot of misconceptions, especially by these slanderers, in particular Tarnoon, Chuck Morgan, Garfield, Rick, all the reject dropouts, who basically try to slander us and um, who try to make us look a certain way to the unlearned, because all it would take is for a person to study Nuwaubu or Wunuwap or Nuwapu as intensely as we study their doctrine, and they will see the truth and the facts. And basically, we just here to clear up the false allegations of plagiarization, and
So let's dive.
mhm.
So look, console. Let's dive right into it. Because they
Okay,
just know.
that sounds good, brother. That sounds good. And um, I think we said we was gonna start with with two clips, from a class called "I Came to Right the Wrong" by the master teacher Malachi York, where he's actually breaking down and explaining things about slanderers and how people try to slander him and how people try to judge him based on him as a person, as opposed to what he teaches. So, we think it's best if we let the master teacher speak for himself on certain topics. So if you want, brother, you can go ahead and play those two clips.
All right, let's roll. Let's let it rock. Hold on.
And before you do that, brother, I just want to thank you. You know what I'm saying, Malachi Disciple, Asu Nabanupu. You know what I'm saying, my brother, my Nuwapian brother.
Right.
We definitely want to let everybody know that Nuwapu, Nuwabu, Nuwabian Moore, Yamasi, Munwapu, Wunuwap, Ayo, Amon, Ancient Mystic Order Melchizedek, Ansar, Numas. It don't matter. We are united because we have multiple various clans within our tribe. So there is no dissension in the Wabu, Nuwapu. It don't matter. We are united, and we will stand in the forefront to represent the truth and to represent our brother and our leader and our teacher, Dr. Malachi York. But go ahead with the clip, brother.
All right.
Just don't know. They have no idea. The biggest conversation y'all have in your travels today is people have no idea this is going on. Hey, look at these people. They don't even know this world is coming down. They don't even know the questions are here. They don't know independence, the movie Independence is them telling them something. You know it though. And that is a blessing. Many are called. And I stood up in 1970 and I yelled and I called and I said, many are called, but few are chosen. When they sifted it, all of them left. Some of them are back in the street niggas. Some of them think, oh, he's so slick. He's this, he's that. No, I'm the man that's consistent in fact. Regardless of what he is, because he has judged me by religious eyes and said he's not a holy man. Heard he does this. He sings music. I can do that. I can do all of that. I'm not your preacher. I ain't your imam. I told
That's
him,
right.
don't call me imam. I'm not no imam. Okay, imam. I'm not a religious person. I am simply a teacher. A man coming to right the wrong. And my very presence, and what I stand for, and what I teach you is doing the job. A job nobody can. None of y'all can do. And all those fools that left here, and all those that were fools that left here, all they can talk about is teaching. Not the teaching. They can talk about me and how much they don't like me and how I didn't do this and how I didn't do that. But one thing I always did was my job. Regardless of whether I neglected you, a book is still coming out for the whole of our people. You follow what I'm saying? I have many people saying, you know, brother so-and-so misses you. I said, I don't remember it. Who is he? He ceased to exist in my world. Because I have a job to do that's bigger than you. They don't understand a person with a mission. They don't understand your insanity about your mission. They want you to be a person. And I always tell them, if I was a person, I wouldn't be the person I am.
Okay, go to 24 minutes and 30 seconds.
It makes you.
Say it again.
24 minutes and 30 seconds, and it's the last clip before we start.
Okay, on this video right here?
Yeah, same one.
All right, 24.
Because we already heard what he said. He said those fools that left, he said all they can talk about is the teacher and not the teachings. And right here at 24 minutes and 30 seconds, he about to really drop the hammer.
All right.
Well, then the thing is the truth. If everything I'm saying about Farad is not true, then you produce the facts. You follow what I'm saying? If what I'm saying about Islam is not true, then produce a book to prove it. I put a book out 10 years ago, 360 questions asked the Muslim, they ain't answered it yet. All they're still trying to push is the Bilal killer book. What did it deal with? Me, the teacher. That's because they think I am like their minister, the religious guy. I'm not. I'm a person. Play Monopoly with me and I'll cheat if I can win. Just put it in front of me. And that's my way of telling you, don't make me the preacher. We play baseball, I cheated. I was cheating. And we having fun. The fool was the one saying, that fool will later go off and slander. I watch the people on the internet ignoring. They can't ignore me.
That's it right there. You heard what he said?
I'm interested in what I have to say on the internet. The room captain, whoever says ignore him, the people are still asking me questions. Well, they can't. I know that.
They can't. They can't leave him alone. We good right there, brother.
Speak your mind, bro.
And see, this is the beauty of why we have a leader and a teacher that's still with us. Not only that has produced so many great works, not only books, but a lot of people sleep on the live audio lectures because he explained. What he's saying is, I'm not a religious man. He said, religious people don't work with you. Holy men don't work with you. He's saying that the people that know that he is a man, as who? Dr. Malachi York, right? The physical person is simply channeled by certain beings. Melchizedek, right? Yanun, Tohuti, Marduk, Ningish Zeta, certain beings transfer this information or transmit this information or outformation to the master teacher. So basically what he's saying is people that misjudged him and viewed him as a holy man or a prophet or Jesus or a savior-like figure were the persons that when they were the people that didn't understand who he was and what his job was, and that would later go off and leave because they judged or based him by religious standards and would turn to what? Slanders. He just said that. And so now we see the reason being with a lot of ex-Nuwaubians who never truly understood the sciences, not only the sciences, but who never truly understood who and what the master teacher is and was. So that was excellent because I love hearing the master teacher address things on his own because he addressed so much. So I think that was a great introduction to that. What you think, my brother?
Yeah, he pretty much made it clear. And throughout his teachings, you know, he got a whole bunch of that where
Yep.
he's making it plain. Cause that was taking place, you know, I wasn't one of the ones that was there, but it's quite obvious when you on the same vibration that you had individuals there that was already doing that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Doing that for a while. So
Yep. Definitely. And so yeah, like I said, man, I just want to thank you, brother, for allowing me to come on your platform and basically, we just setting the record straight on several topics. The main topic I think we want to cover tonight is the false allegations that Dr. Malachi York plagiarizes material from other authors who, to be quite honest, can't even walk a mile in the shoes of the master teacher, Dr. Malachi York, meaning that their credentials do not even match up to the master teacher's credentials. So why would he steal anything from anybody who has never even accomplished or mastered certain schools or certain aspects of life? You know what I mean? That's just like, we talked about this earlier. That's just like uh Michael Jordan stealing stuff from Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was a great basketball player. You know what I mean? But everybody know Jordan was the man. So if Jordan is the man, and obviously his credentials is higher, Scottie Pippen couldn't. He was good, but he wasn't Jordan. And so this is the example that we make when it comes to other minor authors who have never been able to live up to the credentials of the master teacher. So we're going to build on that. We're going to show and prove that the master teacher never plagiarized anything from anybody. We're going to explain what plagiarization is. We're going to get into public domain, certain things like that. And then we're going to break down, because one of our biggest haters or slanderers that we have is two of them is actually Chuck Morgan and Noone. And so we're going to actually explain, Noone science, what the difference between Nuwaubu and Noone science is. And we're going to get into, we got a lot for them tonight. We definitely got a lot for them tonight, my brother. So I'm definitely ready whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Wherever you want to start at, you
Okay.
you got the shit.
Okay. Well, basically, um, as Nuwaubians, man, we definitely have been dealing with controversy, because we are one of the most controversial, or the most, actually, we are the most controversial organization on the face of the planet right now. And for us to continuously grow and sustain ourselves with all that we have suffered, especially with the false kidnapping of our leader and with the false and illegal seizure of our holy land, Wahani, Golden City, Tamaray, Egypt of the West, and Edenton, Georgia, over 476 acres of land where we actually rebuilt ancient Egypt. Despite that, despite many other things and fractions within our own organization and stuff like that, we are still united, and we still pushing, and we still here to defend Nuwaubu. And that's the number one fact, right? And so it's not really, because here's the thing. This is what these slanders don't realize and don't understand. Their mission is not successful. They're not succeeding. Right? Their number one mission is to stop the propagation of the Nuwaubian teachings, to stop the propagation of Malachi York's teachings, right? And to basically stop people from accepting these teachings or from studying these teachings. But what they don't realize is that Wunuwap is a genetic science, it's a genetic doctrine. It's not for everybody. But those of us that have the blood of the ancient ones, the old ones, still within our veins, when they read these books and when they hear these classes and when they hear these teachings, it does what we as Nuwapians call a DNA explosion. And when that happens, the true nature is coming to the surface. So it cannot be stopped. So what these slanders are doing with a couple hundred hits on YouTube or, a couple of views is really not working, because we constantly building bookstores, we constantly building temples, we constantly debunking their fallacies, we constantly coming with responses like you've been doing, because I definitely been watching your page for the last couple of weeks now, and you got them on the ropes. They cannot deal with these facts that you've been presenting to them, and it's irritating them. And the number one thing is they wasting so much energy on trying to stop something that has been ordained by, whether we want to say Pa'ut or Patimta or El Kalum or Pa Kalum or the universal forces of nature. They cannot stop it. So what they're doing is they're producing nothing. They have no language. They have no bookstores. They have no temples. They have no teachings. They're doing nothing for the so-called black race or African race. Nothing at all. So they're producing that, you know what I mean? Their whole existence is based off of Nuwaubians and Dr. Malachi York. If it wasn't for Dr. Malachi York, nobody would know who these clowns are. And so basically, we're here to set the record straight on this tonight, and we're going to go ahead and jump on into it with these false allegations of plagiarization. And we'll start with Chucky Ducky, as I call him. And let me just say this as well, and I'm going to go back later on and go to the chat, and I'm going to post conversations that I've personally had with Noone and Chuck Morgan, where they have absolutely, I've caught them in lies, you know what I mean? And they have absolutely just refused to have a live debate. You know what I mean? They just refuse to. And so I put that up later, that I've been kicked out of the debate groups, the Nuwaubu versus Nuwaubian group. They kicked me out of that group. They kicked me out of Chuck Morgan's group. You know what I mean? Because we dealing with facts and evidence. And now that the brother Malachi Disciple is killing them, on YouTube, giving them a dose of their own medicine, he got them on the ropes. And it's nothing they can do to stop it. And so I like to start, brother, with Chuck Morgan's website, which basically he goes through and speaks about, these false allegations that the master teacher, Dr. Malachi York, is stealing information from people like Zechariah Sitchin, from people like David Icke, from other people like these yogis and these swamis who have Hindu or Vedic doctrines that speak about certain similarities as right knowledge and certain universal principles. That's one thing that they don't realize, is that when you deal with the schools in Nuwaubu or Nuwaubu or Wunuwap, it's all the same. Uh, when you're dealing with these sciences, what you're dealing with in totality is what they call universal principles. Meaning you can go to various African tribes, you can go to various Native American tribes, you can go to Asia, you can go to, different regions of the planet Earth and find certain similarities in all of these teachings, right? And this is how we know that all is one and one is all, because you can find this. So what they'll do is nitpick and say, well, right knowledge, they talked about that in India 100 years ago, or, you know what I mean? Certain principles that we have, they're trying to say that the master teacher stole it from somebody, instead of saying, wow, I see these same principles in the Nuwaubian doctrine as I see in other principles. So that's letting you know that it's valid. So I like to start with the first allegations, that Chuck Morgan speaks about by saying that the master teacher is stealing information from Zechariah Sitchin, David Icke, and certain stuff like that. And he also lies, blatantly lies, and says that if you want to go ahead and pull up the screenshots from the Let's Set the Record Straight book and um from the Luciferian conspiracy book, you got those that I sent?
No, I don't.
Okay, I sent them in the Google Hangouts app. I had screenshotted the pictures.
Let me go check it out. Hold on.
Okay, yeah. If you just go to the conversation that we had, I sent 2 screenshots from the Luciferian conspiracy book and two of the covers of the books and 2 of the table of contents and the bibliographies in the back of the book, because we just gonna come right on out and clear up the lie, because they say that the master teacher, Dr. Malachi York, has never uses references in his books. And so if you go through the Google Hangout, you're going to see that actually, let me see if I can also, if I can also find it. Okay. I think I got, and this is coming from the Luciferian conspiracy. And this is page, for everybody that has the book. I know Chuck and Tarnoon got the book. They got all our books. They are biggest fans, man. We love y'all. We thank y'all. Continue to support. But this would be on Luciferian conspiracy, page. I got it right here. Here we go. Page. Oh, okay. Just give me 1 second. Okay, right here. Luciferian conspiracy on page 23. And brother, whenever you get it, you can just share the screen. But it's on Luciferian conspiracy, page 23. At the top paragraph, it says Ard, A-R-D in Arabic, or Iridu in Sumerian, all from the same word meaning home away from home. Quote, read Zechariah Stitchin books entitled The Wars of the Gods and Men, Divine Encounters, Earth Chronicles, 12th Planet, Stairway to Heaven, and The Lost Realms, just to name a few. Also read Gods of the New Millennium by Alan Alford. Now, that right there, what you just heard, or what you seen when the brother shared the screen, is a book called The Luciferian Conspiracy, where the master teacher is explaining things about the Anunnaki. And what he's doing is he's telling Nuwaubians to cross-reference from Zechariah Stitchin books to give now I ain't gonna say validity, but to have, because remember now, the master teacher always says, don't believe what I say, check it out for yourself. And so only a fool would try to accuse a man of plagiarization when he's sitting up there telling you, don't believe me. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to do research. I want you to cross-reference. So my question to these slanderers is, how can the master teacher have stolen any kind of information from Zechariah Stitchin when he basically shouting the man out and put all his books and told all his students, which is us Nuwaubians, to read his books for basically for cross-reference purposes? You see what I'm saying? So the false allegation that the master teacher, Dr. Malachi York, stole any works from Zechariah Stitchin right there is automatically killed. Because if I'm stealing information from you, I'm not going to mention your name, number one. Number two, I'm not going to tell my followers or my adherents or my students to read your information. And that's the bottom line. And it's no way to get around that. You see what I'm saying? Now, we also have audio that we can pull up later on, but we also have audio from the YouTube page of the YouTube video. Doc validates Patarak, was our brother Amon or Mario Jessup, who is talking to live to Dr. Malachi York from prison, and where the master teacher also mentioned Zechariah Stitch, and basically he was saying that nobody was talking. He was basically saying that everything that you hear on Ancient Aliens and the History Channel and stuff, he said nobody but him and Zechariah Stitch and way back in the 90s was talking about this stuff. So that's a second form of confirmation. You know what I mean? To where I'm not going to mention you. I'm not going to call your name. I'm not going to give you a shout out or shed light on your existence if I'm stealing information from you, number one. Number two, when you read Zechariah Stitching books and his whole excerpt on the Anunnaki, and then you read books like the Holy Tablets, Black Book 1 and 2, and even some of the newer scrolls, Anu Alelu in the Throne, other extra facts and Patriarchs and Master Secrets and stuff like that, you're going to clearly see a distinction. And what you're going to clearly see also is that Zechariah Stitch does not go in depth and in detail as the master teacher does. Zechariah Stitch don't really break down who or the different species of the Anunnaki. You know, the Sumerian tablets don't really say where they come from besides Nibiru or Nabara, which is translates as the planet of the crossing, or a movable planet, right? Which is more so as a mothership. It don't say exactly what constellation, where they from, what are the different species, and it don't go in depth. Only the master teacher, Yanun, Melchizedek, Tahuti, right, incarnated into flesh as Imam Isa, Rabbani Yashua Bar El Hadi El Mahdi, Netir Afersi Atum Ray, Panabab Yanun, can explain this. So that kills that. Brother, was you having trouble finding it?
Yeah, I'm having trouble getting to the
Okay, that's fine.
hangouts.
Okay. Well, when you get a chance, you can post that later. The second point I want to make is on a second proof, because they say the master teacher don't put references on his books, which is another lie. The second proof we're gonna present is the book Let's Set the Record Straight. And if you go to the back of Let's Set the Record Straight on page 443, I sent you that too. So whenever you get a chance, if you can pull that up. If not, we can post it later. It's on page 443 of Let's Set the Record Straight. It says at the top, list of available reference books used. That right there kills it. Because you go to Chuck Morgan's site and you go to Tarnoon's pages, they say that the master teacher don't cite references. This is a lie. On 443, it says list of available reference books used. And I know y'all got these books, so go ahead and look it up for yourself. Golden Age of the Moors, That Came Before Columbus by Evan Van Sertima. Right? A Guide to Indian Tribes of Oklahoma by Muriel Wright. Black Africans and Native Americans by Jack Forbes. The Return of the Ancient Ones by Empress Verdiesi. Sex and Race, all volume by Joel Rogers, and Nature Knows No Color Line by Joel Rogers. Other, all kind of different references that the master teacher cited. And these slanderers want to lie and say that he never cited references, which makes no sense at all. Was you able to find the other clips to the different videos, brother?
Yeah, I got those clips.
Okay, if we can, let's play the clips of the video entitled where the student teachers are questioned by Brother Ak of the Amon Ra Squad, not the one, not the
that was funny.
not the one talked about earlier. with the tetrahedron with the chakras, not that one, but the other one. Can you pull that one up?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay. And we're gonna pull this up, and we're gonna basically be able to explain how, because one thing that people like Chuck Morgan, who should know better, because like my brother Malachi Disciple said, he actually knows the process by which the books was put together, right? And so he would use what he learned while he was in the tab to try to use it against us, because for those that know, and for those of us inside the tab, we know that the master teacher at a certain point of time, most notably after the Ansar school, he stopped really sitting down and with a pen and paper and writing, and he did more teaching. And what he would do, he would get up and teach, and he would teach on different subjects, and the sisters would take everything that he taught about, and he would tell them, okay, cross-reference this, do some research on what I spoke about, put some cross-reference materials in the books, put the graphs, the language, you know what I mean, the Bible concordance, the Quran concordance, the hieroglyphic breakdowns, the maps. The same way the brothers and sisters is putting the books together now was the same way they did it back then. So it wasn't actually that the master teacher was sitting down with a pen and paper writing the books. He was pretty much dictating how the books was put together. And so in this clip, our brother student teacher Atum Hutep Imreye was approached by these whack Amon Ra cat who he thought he was going to make us look stupid, until the brother came and broke down everything, because in the video, the brother Ak of Amon Ra Squad was basically trying to say that Pops ain't writing the books because he's in prison under the RICO, meaning certain things he can't do or whatnot. And the brother broke down to him that the majority of the new books that we have was written by hand, which our family, many of our families all over the world, particularly in Brooklyn, have handwritten letters. Before he was sentenced, breaking down all this stuff in the book. So, brother, if you see the clip and the time, let's go ahead and plug into that. Let's hear what the brother Atum Hutep Imre Atum Ray is breaking this claim about how the books was put together.
Now, under the status of the RICO Act, that does not allow that.
That's it right there. That's it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was funny. Hold on.
Yeah. Oh, he crushed it. And at the end, he tried to make friends with him.
Yeah, let's see. Let's rock.
These are books show that. That's criminal books right there.
That's criminal.
And the Library of Congress. I was in
You
DC.
said that's criminal.
The Library of Congress is every book.
Can you take the screen?
Every book. And they no.
Yeah, black man can't read.
No. It's the street. Nigga won't produce no more books. Now, under the status of the RICO Act, that does not allow that. You cannot have no more contact with the criminal enterprise of making niggas conscious like that. That's criminal. All them books y'all got is criminal to them. Criminal. Criminal. What are you talking about? You talking about this building. Pops can't make no more books. Can't make no more books. It's criminal. You can't. Criminal. I mean, put it to the court of law, you can't. It's criminal. I said that he's making money off of, told you it's criminal. Because of the RICO Act. Yeah, told you. Yeah. So I'm saying is, we got enough information. Brothers like that, y'all supposed to be putting your own shit out by now. Niggas gave us, there you have it. See, that's something different.
Hey, share your screen if you can, bro.
Oh, I got you. You want to get in the car, you can get in. You want to get in, you can get in. Yeah. My point is that Pop's going to be right now, man. Let me just say this, right? I'm wrong or right on that. No, you're right. You're right insofar as you have strict rules when it comes to RICO, right?
There we go.
Forgetting that Dr. York, right, as they call him, was a prolific writer. So the time it takes a normal author to write about 5 books, he's written about 20. So a lot of the material you're reading, right, is stuff that he's written throughout the years and never got a chance to be released, right? I can buy that. I'll buy that. As well as, right, you have before the trial and after the trial.
So before the trial, while he was arrested, right, while he was in Jones County locked up, before he was actually sentenced, right, before they actually had RICO, his number one thing he was requesting was a pencil and paper. And you're coming out of there with stacks of material. You know what I'm saying? So the process of having those become books, sometimes it takes years because of the pressure they had us under. You follow what I'm saying? The pressure they had us under because we couldn't function normally where you got a book coming out. You know what I'm saying?
We lost volume. We lost your volume, brother. I can't hear you at all, my brother. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
It's like Stephen King, man. Based off of the book, is there God? You ain't got that book? What you mean? Is that God series? The small joints.
All right, we can stop it right now, my brother.
All right, then. All right. I'm giving you a question. I ain't asked you no question. I want to expect on stage to see you smart at it. What's your name? What's your name? Atu. Yeah. You Atu. Okay. What's your point? My point. You from Avon, Boston town, you know.
Keep going, bro.
Yeah, he about to break it down one more time right here, I think.
That's always my problem when brothers try to act like that. He's still writing books right now that don't line up. Not. I accept your explanation because that's what you did.
Okay.
Right, you dictated. That's what you did.
All right, let's pause it right there.
A lot of stuff that's written over the years, or even after his arrest, it hasn't been released yet. Yeah, y'all should tell the rest of them that, though. I need to get on the same page. You feel me, right? We need the same page with that, dog. Listen, we got to explain that.
We can pause it right there, Zamal.
Actually with us, you know what I mean? A lot of people don't know it because they see how they.
Okay, now for those that may, because I heard it and we've seen this before. It's Nuwaubu News questions brother Anka the Amon Squad. Basically, what the brother Atum Hutep Emre Atumre was breaking down was that the master teacher, as the author of these books, that he would teach in front of live audiences, and we know that the master teacher had over 360 books authored before his incarceration, and to date now there's over 1,000. So what that means is majority of the books was taken from live lectures that the master teacher would build on, because remember, the master teacher teaches in question and answer format, meaning there's no lectures, there's no preaching, there's no Farrakhan speeches or nothing like that. It's straight up, ask me a question and I'll tell you the answer, with no books in front of him, no references, no nothing, just going straight out the top of the dome. So what the brother Atum Ray broke down was that there was a book committee. And the sisters would take what the master teacher had taught that particular session and would cross-reference materials, just like we just showed in the Luciferian conspiracy, and let's set the record straight, right? Would tell the sisters to go and cross-reference different materials to add them into the books, because remember, he told us back on the Who and What You Are tape back in the Ansar, the True Light tape, that he said none of y'all are going to believe what I say because I'm not a white man. He said the white man came up here right now and said that everything I taught is a lie. Y'all will believe him after all the proof, all the evidence that he gave. So what we're doing here is we're confirming that the master teacher would appoint the book committee to put the books together, and that they would go to different reference materials and take snippets of those different reference materials, most of which was what's called public domain. Public domain means free information that you can go and use. Another thing is the scrolls was never copywritten. So if I don't ever copyright a scroll or a book, I'm basically saying that I'm not the sole owner or sole proprietor of this information in this particular book. The reason the master teacher did that because he constantly told us, don't believe what I say, check it out for yourself. So he purposely put these materials in his books to make sure that the students was going back and checking and referencing. And it's as simple as that. And to date, there has been no lawsuits for copyright infringement or plagiarization put on the master teacher. And that's a fact. And so we just want to clear that up right now. Yes, you may go to certain books and find certain snippets of information that come from other related material, but that don't mean that a person stole that material as it. Let me give you an example. The Holy Quran Circle 7 of Nuwaubu Ali. You never hear none of them talking about that, right? But you can literally go, it's not just a snippet, but it's literally the whole damn book, copied word for word from the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ by Levi Dowling. That the Prophet Nuwaubu Ali used and put in that in the Holy Quran Circle 7 that nobody seems to want to talk about. You see what I'm saying? But when the Prophet Nuwaubu Ali did it back then to use as a reference material to prepare the Moorish Americans for the Edap chamber where he would give them the higher knowledge, nobody says anything about it. When you read Elijah Muhammad books and you see clear word for word copies coming from other Masonic books, which I don't want to get too deep into that, because we know also that Elijah Muhammad was also a student of Nuwaubu Ali in the Moorish Science Temple and a student of Marcus Garvey. Nobody wants to talk about that. But they always want to say something about the master teacher who you cannot live up to him. You cannot compare yourself to him. So we just wanted to give that example. It's one more clip, brother. If you can pull up where the master teacher mentions David Icke. I think I sent that to you in the Google Hangouts if you can find that.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll go grab it.
Okay, take your time, and I put the time up under it. But in this particular clip, once again, this is a live conversation with the master teacher, where he's explaining about David Icke. But this is actually coming from the Isle of Patmos tapes, which is over 3 hours of live audio of the master teacher explaining in depth, explaining the case, right? And explaining other things, slanders, allegations, and stuff like this. And in this particular clip, the master teacher is explaining, because another thing that Chuck Morgan likes to say is that the master teacher stole stuff from David Icke. So once, and the master teacher did a whole build on David Icke and explained to us that he was a Palladian, you know what I mean? And that's what he was getting.
Yeah, I gave a breakdown on that, about
Okay. You
David
did a breakdown on David Icke?
Yeah, about him getting his information from Credo Mutua, from the
Oh,
tribe.
yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing that for years. That's
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing that people don't know about Credo Mutwa, the South African Zulu shaman priest. You know what I'm saying? I think David I did some interviews with Credo, didn't he?
yeah, his whole career is based off of Credo's pretty much
Works.
his knowledge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, yeah, there's a lot of people who learn from him, and they took
Yeah.
them word for word.
Yeah, exactly. And see, the thing is, like the slanderers try to say that he took stuff from David Icke, which is false.
Hey, I just don't make no sense.
It,
But
it, it
what?
makes no sense at all.
But what? But let me ask you some of the, some of the differences. Let's talk about some of the things
Okay.
that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
As far as noon science, and Nuwaubu.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Whatever
All
you
right.
know or whatever you want to share about that, man. Let me just hear you build about that.
Okay. All right. Okay. If you can. Okay. Well,
Or
here's.
how they pretty much how, what's the similarities, what's the
Okay.
differences,
All right. Well,
break it down.
these are the facts right here. Now, if you want to, You can pull up Johnny Eugene Brown obituary. That's Johnny Johnnny Eugene Eugene Brown, his obituary, and you can share that if you want. But when you go to Johnny Eugene Brown's obituary, who the people like Tarnoon say is Afro Uno, okay? When you go to, because what they are alleging is that the book Bible Interpretation and Explanation, right, copywritten by Amanubi Ruapata. They're trying to say that Amanubi Ruapata is Afro Uno. Okay. And when you go, and they also try to say that Afro Uno is Johnny Eugene Brown. Now, when you go to Johnny Eugene Brown's obituary, which you can Google, anybody can pull it up, it tells you that he used the pen name Afro Uno.
Right.
It never says that he used the pen name Amanubi Ruapata. So their whole allegation that Afro Uno or Johnny Brown is Amanubi Ruapata, they have no evidence. There's no proof to this. You cannot prove it. Number two, out of the 5 or 6 books that Johnny Eugene Brown or Afro Uno put out, in the obituary that his family, his own family, blood and flesh relatives put together, Bible interpretations and explanations or nine ball is not mentioned in either in the whole obituary. So the false allegations that Tarnoon makes and says that Bible interpretations and nine ball are books of Afro Uno and that Afro Uno is Amanubi Ra'apatat, they have no evidence, no proof of this. It's total allegations. Now, when you go to various books of the master teacher, in the beginning of the books is always an author note. And he said this on various occasions live, that the first books that he ever put out, matter of fact, when you go to Google, I want everybody to do this right now. Go to Google and Google Bible interpretations and explanations. Google the Nine Ball book and Google Amanubi Rapata. And everyone you Google, the master teacher, Dr. Malachi York, is going to pop up. Nothing about Afro Uno or Noone Science is going to pop up. In fact, it's extremely difficult to find anything on Noone Science or Nuwaubu on Google. Even when you Google the nature of nature, it's going to take you to a book that's put out in 2011 by some European. You have to really dig deep to find this information because the stuff that these people are saying, these allegations, is small time. It don't even exist. And so that's their first false allegations. You know what I mean? That the master teacher took this information from Johnny Brown, and Johnny Brown's the real Amanubi Rapata, which they have no proof. Because in the man's obituary, it speaks that his pen name was Afro Uno, and it speaks about the books that he put out, which was Nature of Nature, Introduction to Nature, Sunset, Moonrise, Sunset, and so on and so forth. Those are the books that says this was written by Afro Uno. Bible Interpretations and Explanation says it was written by Amanubi Rapata in 1967. Okay.
Right.
Nine Ball says it was written by Wunupu, Asanupu, and Nabanupu, which they don't know who the hell or what those 3 beings are. Okay, when you go to Johnny Eugene Brown's obituary, the first book he put out wasn't until 1993. The master teacher, Dr. Malachi York, started teaching Nuwaubu in 1992. Not only that, when you go to prior tapes in the 80s and 70s through the Ansar school, he giving you bits and pieces of Nuwaubu through those schools. When he explains that Allah had to first create a state of nothingness in order to place something. All this he taught about way back in the Ansar schools. So that's the first clarity that we want to clarify. They have no proof that Johnny Brown is Amon Ra. They have no proof that Johnny Brown wrote the 9 ball and Bible interpretations and explanations. Point blank, period. Now, what they try to use is a letter that Brother Jay wrote to the master teacher asking about that, and also on the same Isle of Patmos tapes, where the master teacher says, he says, I'm not the chief of all Nuwaubians. He says, I'm not the Amenubra Apata that they list. I'm not, he's basically saying that he is not the head of Nuwaubians. Now, why is he saying this? Because this is what they try to use.
I
This
didn't
is
hear him
why.
say he wasn't Amanubi Rakata. I heard him say he wasn't the chief of all Nuwabians, but I didn't hear him never say he wasn't.
Well, it's a letter. It's a letter that I can send to you that Brother Jay wrote to him, right? And he says, "I am not thee," in
See, that's the thing.
parentheses.
The thing is, right, with
Mm-hmm.
letters, anybody can write the letter. And then when you're dealing with right reason, it doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? You need more you need more evidence than some damn
Well, that's true. That's true.
letter that could be sent by anybody.
Right.
That's even the case with a
But
lot of things, man. Go ahead.
right. But the thing about it is, this is what they don't understand. When you're asking a man who's in federal prison on false charges, whose conversations are being tapped, whose letters are being monitored, right? If you ask them, and this is the thing that people have to remember, they've trumped up these RICO charges on the master teacher, right? And they have the Nuwaubian Nation labeled as a hate organization and labeled as a criminal organization. So when you write or ask a person, are you the leader? Are you the leader of this organization? You know what I'm saying? Are you the person that started this? Are you Amanubra? Are you this person? If I say before my trial, and they have my tribe labeled as a criminal organization, if I say yes, I am the creator of this organization, I am the chief, I am the head of this organization, guess what I just did? I just incriminated the hell out of myself, because the government has us labeled as a criminal organization. So if the master,
Everybody, I mean, every black Nubian organization is gonna be labeled,
right,
that is what it is.
right.
And I,
And so that's why he explained, I'm not the chief of all Nuwaubians. We have other chiefs, Brother Latif, and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? We have different clans within the Yamasee. When this is getting into the
right.
whole indigenous part and stuff like that.
But what I want to do, right? I want to get into the teaching. Let's get into the teachings more and talk more about. Let's pull out some of the, some of the things that's
Okay. If you can pull up and this is what I want to explain to Tarnoon and the Noonebus, right? The master teacher is a reformer. He's the mujaddid, which is the Arabia word or Arabic word, the reformer. And he's always taught this. The same thing these clowns are trying to accuse us and him of right now is the same thing that they were saying when the master teacher renewed the 5% lessons, which were borrowed from the Nation of Islam lessons, right? When the master teacher renewed and updated the Holy Quran Circle 7, he renewed and updated their doctrine. The master teacher retranslated, right, the Old Testament, El's Holy Torah, the Tehillim, right, the Psalms, and the um, Revelations, which is Injil, and El's Holy Quran. So this is not the first time that people have tried to say that the master teacher stole this or stole that. And he's told us since day one, he said, I am the reformer. I am the renewer. Meaning, every 25,000 years, the earth's history must be renewed. This is what Elijah Muhammad came and explained to us. And in the message to the black man, Elijah Muhammad explained, he said, one that come after me will be the one to break all this stuff down. And he spoke about the book of Lamb. And he said that he had a vision. And in the vision, he saw the letter Lamb, which is the Arabic letter and equivalent to English is L. And in the holy tablets, which is divine scripture that was channeled through the master teacher, every chapter begins with lo, lo and behold, so on and so forth. And so what the master teacher has been trying to explain since day one is that he is the man that was sent here to renew and reform everything that came before him and explain it thoroughly and to correct it or to set the record straight. So the same thing that he did with those teachings is what he's doing with the teachings from Afro Uno through the nature books, which most of those were copied from Nine Ball and Bible interpretations, which are written by Wunupu, Asanupu, and Nabanupu, which are really Krill, Alamar, and Sat, or the three different great beings that was with the master teacher since he was 9 years old, that was guiding him on his path. And also Amanuburu Apata in 1967, which was the master teacher before even the Ansar school came into existence. Because he said, I can't give you what you want, so you will learn to want what I have to give. So that when he first came with Nuwaubu or Nuwaubu in Bible interpretations and explanations, this is what he originally came to give, but the people wasn't ready for it. So when you get into, if you could pull up, I don't know if you could pull up, but we have the audio of the nature books. It starts at 8 minutes. If you could pull that up through the Google Hangouts, we're going to explain the difference between Noone Science and Nuwaubu. And basically on in the nature, I think it's nature part 1, book 1. They have it scattered and separated so much it's kind of hard. So what I did, I just put the audio of this being, alleged being Ripu, Nupu, or whatever, this mystery being that's quoting from the nature books at 8 minutes. Do you have that, brother?
Hold on, I'm working on it.
Okay, yeah. So when you get to that, we're just going to basically discuss, because a lot of the allegations that Tarnoon says is, why can you find snippets of nature books in the actual fact books and stuff like that? Well, for one thing, majority of what you see in nature books comes from Bible interpretations and Nine Ball, right? And to furthermore prove that Afro Uno is not Amunu Barapata, in any of the works from 1993 when Afro Uno wrote his first book on down, you never see the mention of the word Nuwaubu. You never see the mention of Amanu Rapata. It changes to Noone Science or Nupu, right? And so we're not discrediting Afro Uno for the works that he did. We're basically saying that the master teacher is here to reform and correct many of the misconceptions that we find in the nature books. And so we're going to give you an example of those misconceptions on 8 minutes of the audio from nature. I think it's part 1, book 1, but the brother's going to pull it up and we're going to give you an example.
Who's this speaking on the audio?
Okay, on the audio, it's not even Afro Uno. In the beginning of the audio is Ripu, which is supposedly one of the 3. It's very confusing because when you read the beginning of these books, it says the sun, the star, and the planet. And that each one is supposedly like a representative of Afro Uno, or it's very hard to explain, but when you read the beginning, it's not Afro Uno speaking, it's Ripu, Quipu, and Zipu. And the funny thing about it is they can't even explain what these names mean, what languages these names they have. Let me tell you something about the Noonebus. They don't know anything about language. You know what I mean? They are completely oblivious. They speak nothing but English. They don't know anything about English languages.
They're all not Nunaboos. They all don't agree on the same things. There's official.
I noticed that.
You know what I'm saying? Who don't associate like that with certain information or certain ways they do things. So
right. And so supposedly on the beginning of this clip is a listener or a reader, as the nature books explain. You got the reader and the writer, right? Then one of the portions of the nature says that Afro Uno is not one person, but a group of people. If you read the nature books, it's coming from third person, just like the Bible, like the New
I
Testament and
mean,
the Bible.
I'm just to that. I just want to say to that that just reading the works, you got theological science. You know what I'm saying? You have modern science, and then you have the mergence of the two. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But I can talk to you about nine ether beings and six ether beings, you know, and people from Palladius all day long,
Mm-hmm.
right? But until you have the scientific fact behind to
Mm-hmm.
back this stuff up, then you know it continues to just be a kind of a repetitive theological teaching. If you understand
That's
what I'm
true.
saying, you know
Oh
what I mean.
yeah.
I can tell you what these kind of beings, what those kind of beings, but
Mm-hmm.
existing in the now, right now, like the audio was saying earlier, existing in the now, we are who we are. You see
That's
what I'm
it.
saying?
Yep.
So, you know, just looking at the work alone, there's no real science behind it. It's
Right.
just, you
And
know,
it's totally incomplete. It's incomplete. It's dibbling and dabbling and stuff. And this is why it's called the introduction to nature of nature. Okay, well, if that's the introduction, then where's the middle path and the ending path? You know what I mean? Explain that to me. And this is something they can't explain. Furthermore, as the master teacher says, dead leaders can't answer your questions. And so if I was to have questions on the writings of Johnny Eugene Brown, I cannot ask Johnny Eugene Brown questions on his books because he's not here to answer those questions. And apparently he didn't leave a successor, or he didn't leave a group of people that had mastered his teachings that can explain this to me. And so therefore it's only one person, the renewer, the reformer, the mujaddid, the ilamutajasid, the incarnation of divinity. And that's only one person who is alive with us right now, who is still teaching, giving us knowledge. And that's Dr. Malachi York. And that's the bottom line. And so was you able to find that clip, brother?
yeah, it got to be downloaded. I didn't know it was gonna.
Yeah, it takes a while to download. Soon as it download, just go to 8 minutes, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna explain some of the misconceptions, and we're gonna give you the reason why the nature books have to be updated and have to be reformed and renewed. Because I mean, we heard you put up one video where the sister Quipu Zipu Ripu, whatever that means, well, she was saying that we six ether beings, and we're not nine ether beings. And I don't understand now. In order to fully understand etheric beings 3, 6, and 9, you have to go to the holy tablets. That's a fact. They books, they teachers don't explain it. They teachers don't explain it. One of the sisters said we six ether beings. We're not nine ether, right? And because I guess they're saying that the temperature and the atmosphere of the planet wouldn't be able to sustain um the type of being, the evolutionary Tadites that we are, which is copied straight from Bible interpretations and nine ball. Then I heard another brother say that six ether is the lava in the center of the earth. And when I heard that, I was just like, what? Then he said five ether is this, you know what I mean? When you, first of all, you have to understand what is ether. You have to look up the definition of ether. You have to understand that ether is simply conscious gas forces. That's it. Nine ether is the combination of all existing gases in the universe. Nine ether and six ether are complete opposites, because if you take a nine and flip it upside down, you get a six. So what you're dealing with is what they call positive and negative, disagreeable and agreeable, yin and yang, winter and summer. You know what I mean? Light and dark, black and white, opposite. You're dealing with opposites. And this is something that these people have no understanding of. And so you can't really go to them and ask them questions about this stuff because they don't have the answers. And so what we're gonna do now, as soon as the brother get it pulled up, we're gonna take an excerpt from the nature reading at 8 minutes, and we're going to explain exactly why these teachings have to be updated and why the master teacher is updating these teachings and explaining these teachings, because somebody got to do it. So did it download for you yet? And let me just say this. We're not going to give everything on this particular show, this particular class, because it's a lot more where this comes from. It's a lot more to explain it. But we're just going to give y'all bits and pieces because these clowns spend so much time trying to really trying to what they trying to do is beg for publicity, because we're gonna put the video up later when you got Noone and Chuck Morgan literally begging Sonetta for publicity. Because their feeble attempts to try to gain publicity on this whole subject is of no avail. They're not succeeding. And so they're trying to find bigger platforms like Sonetta, which Brother Polite, who is Nuwaubian, people call him ex-Nuwaubian or whatever. Listen, he doing his own thing, and he flipping out a little bit, whatever. But he know what the truth is. So it was people like Brother Polite, Prince York, and Huhika, and other Nuwaubians that really made Sonetta's platform famous. So you got people like Chuck. We got the video with Chuck Morgan and Noone are begging literally Sonetta to go on Sonetta's show, and Sonetta basically telling them, "No, I'm not putting y'all on my show. I'm not saying nothing about Dr. Malachi York's case because I don't believe the man is guilty." Blah blah blah, and that's what they're doing. They're begging for publicity. Because they have no platform of their own. They have nothing of their own. They're not producing anything. They don't have a language. They don't have a culture. They don't have a doctrine. They don't have an organization. They don't have a nation. They don't have anything. They still speak the devil's English. You know what I mean? So what they're doing is feeble. It's getting nowhere. And so did it download for you, brother?
Nah, this thing's still downloading.
Okay. Well, until it downloads, basically what it says at 8 minutes. I'm not sure what nature book it is, but when you go to I think it's Noone Society website. It's the only website. There's two of them, Nuwaubu.com and then like NooneSociety.com. When you go to that and go to the audio of the audio of this Ripu, this mystery being reading from the nature books, at 8 minutes, it's talking about the universe. That's it right there. Go to 8 minutes and let's hear him say that it's emptiness. The universe is empty. It's nothing and it's empty out in space. He says that space is empty at 8 minutes.
It sounds horrible though.
That's cool.
Absolute nature is all space, all matter, and all time.
That's it right. Share your screens, Amon.
And inseparable. Absolute nature is all persons, all places, and all things, past, present, and future.
Okay.
Let it be known. Paragraph 7. Listen to reason.
7.
Of course, all space is endless vacuum, nothingness, and nothingness.
Right there. It says all space is an endless vacuum,
something,
emptiness, and nothingness. He says all space is an endless vacuum, emptiness. So what he's saying is that space is empty. Now, this is the same thing that these Kakasu, Mukasu, or Tamahu Caucasian scientists say. If you go and look up any science quote or whatever, look up scientists, and you ask them, well, what exactly is out in space? What is outer space? They're gonna say either I don't know or it's empty. It's full. It's just nothing. It's empty. Now, this is the difference between Noon science and Nuwaubu or Nuwaubu. Noon science teaches that space is full of nothingness and emptiness, right? Which is impossible. And this is the reason it's impossible. Because the master teacher has constantly taught us what is the speed of light. The speed of light is 186,272 miles per second. That's how light travels. 186,272 miles per second. Now, what is preventing light, which is coming from suns and stars? What is preventing light from traveling at 186,273 miles per second? What's stopping light from traveling faster than what it's traveling? Well, I'm gonna do just a small example from actual fact number 17, verse 25. It says, the entire universe is permeated with a basic energy which is of a rarefied concentration compared to the energy bundles which comprise atoms and quantum particles, right? Which we know in ancient Tamaray or Kemet or whatever they want to call it was known as Sahem. It says at 26, you will have a hard time trying to conceive of basic energy with the same overstanding associated with energy because the basic type had no motion and cannot impart force. And I'm going to skip down to 28. It says, and she, mother, Mu'at, is revealed, or matter. We know that the master teacher explained that matter comes from Ma'at. And she is revealed to you by evidence existing in a wave phenomena of the propagation of Nawur, or light. And that it moves the vibrations of the three colors, blue, yellow, and red, which birth all others. By this we know she is Pa'ut, or Kalum, or Temta, the existence, or the all. 29 says, this basic energy, or Ak, ether, is what imposes a limit on the speed of light. And it's all within dark matter. Therefore, space is not empty. And if you skip down to 32, it says, if space were truly empty or nothingness, listen to what it's saying now, completely debunking and completely correcting what is said in the nature books. It says, and if space were truly emptying or nothingness, then radiated energy or light would be able to travel at any rate, at any infinite range of speeds, instead of having an upper limit, which has been named the speed of light, 186,272 miles per second. So what we're clearly seeing is that these European Caucasian scientists and this misinformation in this outdated doctrine, which they call Noon science, is false. Because if space was empty, then there would be nothing stopping light from traveling faster than 186,272 miles per second. Does that make sense, or does that not make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense. I mean,
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is why the world needs Nuwaubu. You cannot answer these questions without this information. Because even your scientists, in the science, NASA, they don't know. If you ask them, what's dark matter? What exactly is a black? You know what I mean? They cannot answer these questions. But guess what? The Holy Tablets can. You know what I mean? And the Holy Tablets was first put out in 1996. And the master teacher said it took, I can't remember how many years it took to compile, but it said it took him a while to compile the tablets, which came out in 96. So that means previous to 1996, he was explaining this about the moon, the origins of the moon, life on Mars. Now they talking about all this stuff that the master teacher was talking about back in the 70s and 80s.
I
They
mean,
saying now,
a lot of
mhm,
it, a lot of it's been spoke about. It was just a matter of theology and mythology because no one was able to kind of put a science behind it. You see, so
exactly,
that's the unique piece of Nuwaubu is to back up some, not all, of the legends and mythology that,
right,
or some of the things that you thought was mythology that could be proven scientific fact now because of the,
right.
technology that they have today. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Yeah. And this is what we're trying to tell people. This smoke screen that these people is putting up, these slanderers, these nobodies, these rejects, these low lives who have nothing, are nothing, and produce nothing is a joke. Judge a man by his works. I mean, if you ain't working, you ain't producing nothing, why am I listening to you? And so what we're trying to say, if you want the facts, come to us. Another little thing we heard um in the nature books, it says that nature produced the various different races. But that's impossible. Nature did not produce various races. Nature produced one race. Whether they want to call it African, black, whether they want to call it Toddite, whether you want to talk about the Sands, the Khoisan tribe, the Bushmen, the Pygmies, this is the race that nature produced from the waters. And from that race, other races were grafted. So to say that nature produced various races, as the nature book says, is totally false. You see what I'm saying? And this is what we're trying to explain to people. If you have questions, Nuwaubians got the answers. Not the Noone Boos. They got 5 or 6 books. They're confused on who Afro Unu is, Wunupu, Asunupu, and Nabanupu. They don't know who these things is. Brain new. You ask them what is a brain new. They can't even explain to you what that is. And so we're trying to explain to these people that all these false allegations that these clowns is talking about, come on, man, come home.
Well, some of the Noonie Boos,
Come.
like I said, I know some Noonie Boos personally, and they on top of their game. You know what I'm saying? They don't
Right, right, right,
it's
right.
not the
I
same.
agree with that.
It's not the same. You feel me? So
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
I gotta put that out there because when we're
yeah,
addressing, that's
definitely.
why I want to address the particular information because I'm not taking shots at anyone as a whole. You know what I'm saying? This is pertaining to information, and there's messed up people in every organization. You know what I'm saying? There's all kind of things
Right,
going on. So,
right,
so it's not
right,
that I'm talking to the Noonie Boos, all of them.
right,
You know,
right,
this is just certain information that certain people are putting out, and they in a rush to put it out, and
right,
it's gonna, pretty much expose itself. That's all.
right. And all we're simply saying, and it's deeper than, and what we're talking about now is only a portion. It's deeper than that because there are a lot of truths in the nature books. We do respect Johnny Brown for the works that he did. You know what I mean? It's not
Very
like
respectful.
they're trying to make it look, you know. It's just that all we're saying is in this day and time, there's only one. Since 1967 and prior, there has only been one. And as the Bible interpretation 9 ball says, one who will be appointed by the forces of nature to renew Earth's history. This is a major scale you're talking about. So when you deal with major um, leaders, let's start with Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was a major player. You're talking a multi-millionaire, worldwide organization, worldwide teachings. He wasn't just somebody out in his basement, you know, putting out pamphlets. Let's skip to Noble Drew Ali, a major person worldwide, millions of dollars. knowledge spread all over the world, and the indigenous sovereign status. Let's jump to Elijah Muhammad. You're talking the early 40s and 50s, black people had laundromats, clothing stores, grocery stores, temples, bookstores all around the nation. And now the only person that's existing in this day and time that can live up to that and supersede it, who gave us a language, fluent in over 19 languages, built 3 holy cities, author of over 1,000 books, right? National and indigenous sovereign status. The proof is in the works. Dr. York is the only one in this day and time that is able to proclaim to be who and what he is. And so all we saying is recognize real. And that's as simple as that. Real, recognize real. And so,
you ask me, it's already, it doesn't even matter if they recognize anyone, in my opinion. You see what I'm saying? Because the job, as far as the conscious shift or what we call a dimensional shift, that's already taken place. The fact that we here even talking
actual
about
fact.
certain things, it's already been done. So, that's why I kind of try to show certain things about the info. I just want to deal strictly with the information, because what happens is when you're built a certain way, all right, when you train your own mind a certain thing and what you decide to study, you can see some flaws in whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? If it ain't a fact.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
no matter where it's coming from, I'm trying to address if it's a fact. That's all.
That's it, man.
The doctrine
That's
is
all we deal with.
factology. Go ahead.
That's it. That's all we deal with, brother. Facts and truth. And so I definitely enjoyed this. This is just part 1.
Yep.
There's plenty more where this came from. And I'm definitely glad to be working with you. I'm glad for the invite. And we're gonna continue to do this. And like I said, man, even before this, man, you was already killing them and presenting the facts. And we're gonna continue to present the facts. And we can go ahead and wrap it up. And we can plan for something next week. I'm definitely gonna be promoting your channel, and we coming together, man. And all it's about is facts and truth. We're not telling people to don't believe what we saying. We don't give a crap whether you like us. We don't give a crap what you think. We're not gonna lose sleep. We're gonna sleep good tonight.
Yeah, you know that thing.
You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
asking you to do the research for yourself. Stop believing what you hear people say. Stop believing with a stupid video you see on YouTube. Do the knowledge, do the evidence. Evidence, experience, and reason. Search for yourself. And that's it, brother. And if you want to sign us out, I'm good with that, and I definitely appreciate it. Freedom Master Teacher, you know what I mean? The Nuwaubu Nation in the building. And we come together, and we united, and we strong, and we can't be stopped. Truth is truth, facts is facts, and falsehood will perish. And that's all I got to say, my brother.
Wadu.
Wadu.